I know. I mean, they really have to pull together. They really have to practice pulling together because Game 1 MVP Miracle and Games 2 and 3, because usually it ends at Game 3 MVP Miracle, are different beasts, it feels like. Even when they go against the strongest of teams, their Game 1 performance is usually laudable, right? When they fought against MVP Black, for instance, in this phase, their Game 1 was impeccable. Sniper was doing such a great job on Tyrael against Rich's Maltheo, etc. But then, after they lost the first game, the mental breakdown was evident. It showed. And I'm hoping that it doesn't show today.
We'll see as we head into Battlefield of Eternity Game 2. Of course, chosen by Tempest, they won Game 1. Miracle will be first banning. Miracle once was punished because they did not ban Ariel. But so far, all day today has been mostly Genji, Ariel, or ETC Ariel bans coming out. You think we'll see a change here?
Probably not, judging from what we've seen in the first game. Again, rather standard ETC ban. I was looking forward to seeing a sign on ETC.
Really, I have a question. Does this trigger you that the side on the right side of Miracle, the UI pokes into ETC, but on the left it does not? Does that mean the timer in the middle is not centered? And we've been playing with a timer that's not in the center for years.
Maybe it just means that HGC is scripted, because as we know, all esports is scripted. And the side that pokes into this
I
UI...
do not agree with Rally, guys. It's all Rally, and you know his Twitter. Go attack him.
But speaking about the first bans, something I really wanted to bring up on the HGC KR cast is how different the first ban meta is, so to speak. I don't know if meta is the right word, but in Europe you see so many Medivh bans, and in the case of large maps, you almost always see Abathur banned as well. Whereas in Korea, it's very limited. The pool is limited to these superstar supports than perhaps the Genji and ETC. And I wonder why Korea isn't playing more Medivh, more Abathur. And obviously, you can make the argument that, you know, maybe players aren't comfortable enough on Medivh. Maybe players aren't comfortable enough on Abathur. But
maybe the players are not NA, and not many players actually prefer to play on Medivh. They still think there's a lot of risk, especially when you have to finish the Master's Touch. And once that's completed, that's a lot better. But seems like Rich is basically the only one playing Medivh sometimes from MVP Black.
I mean, in the regular league, in the domestic league, if everyone isn't really playing Medivh except for like 1 or 2 teams, then that isn't as much of a problem because no one is playing Medivh. So it's like both sides are holding, or in this case, not holding the same card. But when we go into international competition, if your team doesn't play Medivh effectively, but the other team does, then you essentially have to ban one more thing, and the other team gets a free ban card. So I don't know what these teams are thinking. I think at least the teams wanting to do well at BlizzCon have to pick up Medivh right now if they want to go toe-to-toe with the European teams on an equal footing in the draft.
Well, I think we may actually see some Medivh coming out on when L5 will be versing MVP Black. Maybe that's a card they have been hiding for a long time to really prepare for BlizzCon. I think they are watching lots of the foreign scene, lots of EU and NA matches. I think they realize and know already. Well, let's talk a little bit about the draft. Bala Uther picked up from Tempest once again. No Morales this time, of course, but Genji from Miracle.
I guess we would probably be expecting to see a Tassadar ban here, but if they are too concerned about how the Morales sort of wrecked them in Game 1, then either they would have to draft more crowd control and dive this time, or they would probably ban the Morales and risk giving up the Tassadar. So MVP Miracle's second ban here will be quite telling of their strategy going into the later part of the draft, but they instead go with Maltheo, which does make sense, I guess, because H82 was such a great mouth deal whenever he got to play her, but the problem is that he now also plays Sonya at a very high level, and Sonya is great against what MVP Miracle has right now.
I guess that's what they're fearful of, even when they have Tyrael in their hands already. I always think that Sanctification is just enough tool to counter Marthael's dive when he comes in with the Tormented Souls. Well, they were having lots of trouble, and they saw how well H82 can carry the team fight, so that's still a decent ban. Banning a Sonya may be a little bit too far, I would say. Of course, can do burst damage, but percent damage onto Immortal can be a big tool also. So that's the line of thinking I'm following for MVP Miracle's second ban. A Tempest here, Uther. Tastar is open as you mentioned, but are they going to go in full Vala then? I don't think we'll be seeing Q Vala coming out.
They could also go full Honkano and just pick up Lucio here, because not a bad hero on this
It's another
map.
full Honkano coming out with Karazim. With Arthas, maybe another tank to just steal the deal, or even Sonya, as you mentioned, will be a perfect pickup for Tempest.
Arthas can definitely fit into the main tank role as well as the off-tank role, so we will have to see. And I really like this pickup, particularly so because there is a good chance that MVP Miracle might have added in the Greymane there, and Arthas serves as a decent deterrent to that. It will also be telling whether or not MVP Miracle decide to answer this double support with a double support of their own or not. Generally, if we look at Europe, the teams are comfortable with not going double support, and that's what they're going for here as well.
Maybe Crazy Moving will be playing Jaina, going back to his favorite hero. As the last pickup is Garrosh. Solo support Rehgar, which we've been seeing from lots of EU teams now. They have moved from the double support with just solo Rehgar. Oftentimes it was enough, and when Genji dives in, or even when Jaina's even poked or into some dangerous situation, that ancestral healing will be the big tool when they have Sanctification, of course.
I guess we know that Dami will be playing the Genji and that Jaehyun will be playing the Rehgar, but the other three heroes, which is going to which, we can't be sure, and that's pretty exciting. So that's something we will have to keep an eye out for once we load into the game. For Tempest, last pick here.
On this map, Jaina can do much more damage because you're in the middle. There's not much obstacles in the middle. It's, of course, non-target. You do have to land on your skill shots, but I think on this battleground, you can finish your quest so much earlier. And we forgot about H82's Artanis.
Very exciting. I was thinking that if Arthas would go on to H82, then it would probably be signed on the Muradin, but something to think about is that Sign is also a pretty damn good Artanis, so definitely we could see any one of these two players picking up either hero, but obviously H82 is our resident Artanis god, so hopefully he plays that.
Well, we have it now. Vala Artanis from Tempest and Genji, along with Jaina coming out from MVP Miracle. Seems pretty strong on both sides. Let's go into Battlefield of Eternity and see who takes the win in game number 2 between Tempest and MVP Miracle. In blue, Tempest. Hide on Uther, Honkana on Karazim, Lockdown on Vala, Sign on Arthas, H82 on Artanis.
And on the side of MVP Miracle, we see Judy on Tyrael, Dami on Genji, Jaehyun on Rehgar, Crazy Moving on Garrosh, and Sniper on Jaina. So unfortunately, no Crazy Moving Jaina as we had hoped for.
Seems like he is sticking to his new role. Playing Garrosh now.
Sniper wasn't that bad a mage player whenever he had to play one, so not too disappointed by who's playing the Jaina.
I think this is a better and more balanced on who's on which hero for Miracle.
Generally, I'm not a fan of players swapping around all their roles all the time, so I would agree. I wouldn't have liked Crazy Moving on Jaina for that reason, but that reason only.
Okay, because they're, I think... Ooh, and... I thought it was just enough with Artanis, but Qvala also locked in. So their racing damage will be insane. I think it's also mostly due to having Jaina onto the other side. If you're auto-attack Vala, of course. Ooh. Meanwhile, if you're auto-attack Vala, then you basically have to force yourself in to do more damage. And if there's so much kiting tool and poking tool from the other side, it's really hard. You will actually get more damage when you're trying to do damage. So I think Qvala is... It makes sense as we have Qvala, as we had the first kill just now.
And it seems like that really needs combination of crowd control and displacement that we saw right there from Miracle on the kill. It really seems like it's a matter of concentration when you're playing against Garrosh in pro play. It's so easy to evade, well, not easy, but it's so reasonable to avoid every attempt that Garrosh throws if he has to open with the Q. But because they don't play with it or against it that often, we see teams continuously mess up to not respect Garrosh's death range.
We'll see as a Groundbreaker will come in. H82, ooh, Immortal is the MVP of that fight there. I think he also took the kill.
1-0 for the Immortal.
Just one Groundbreaker along with the body blocks coming out from his teammate was enough to get the kill.
We do see Jaehyun misclicking there with the W, right? Because he should have selected Genji, so slight mechanical error there. Not too important.
As Jaehyun will pay his life because of that.
Not sure if directly related, but
now it is!
Justice was served.
Oh well. But of course, Tempest. Oh, and a pretty good position of the Immortal too. They can just poke out and win this war. As MVP Miracle just give up and just decides to take out the shield. Onto the first Immortal will be going to Tempest, as seems like the amateur opponent plus the Q build coming out from Vala is pretty quick when you're racing down the Immortal.
And we see Artanis rotating back into the top lane. I was somewhat hoping that they would send one of the supports, preferably Karazim, to the top lane instead, as to make this Immortal push a bit more deadlier, because it's very different when you have an Artanis pushing along with the rest of the team as opposed to a Karazim. But hopefully they will take something out of this as well. Throw misses.
Freezy moving also taking Unstoppable here. So he will be safe from lots of CCs from the other side.
Good defense onto the first Immortal, and I think it was a valid decision to pull Judy away from the top lane for a moment to ensure that they make a safe defense. So pretty well done by Miracle there. Not sure if they want to go into this one though. Jaina's still far away.
I think that is the only thing that's keeping Miracle from not going in. Artanis was away, of course Judy also was away, but that 4v4 looked alright for Miracle at the moment. He had lots of poking and kiting bursting damage from Sniper. Could have been enough, but she was just not too close as she was just harding back for mana.
I would rather they had rotated Rehgar up to the top side or possibly the Bruiser camp, because half the point of having a Rehgar is having the ability to make rotational plays like that onto Bruiser Missionary camps. But still, nothing too bad going on the side of MVP Miracle. They will be happy with what they have going on right now.
But
and
not anymore.
Rehgar does exactly that.
Not anymore if Tempest takes the top camp also. Because it seems like they got their own camp, just timing it with the next set of Immortals coming out very soon. But because they also got the Siege, they can make this push a little more before this next Immortal comes out.
I think Rehgar is debating whether to take the camp or not. I mean,
It had to be taken at this moment.
yeah, judging from the minimap, he had finished the camp at least 10 seconds ago, but was thinking about when exactly to take it, so he captured it right away as the Siege camp started moving in onto the top side. Both teams on relatively equal footing now, but Tempest will have to rotate to the top side to defend against that fallen Shaman.
Kidnap fails from H82. Will be on a long cooldown now. Miracle, they have lots of poking tools. But the thing is, as Jaina, as I also play Jaina sometimes, when you start poking in so much, then you lack mana. Your mana control is so important when you're playing Jaina. There's a swap onto Crazy Moving. Can Garrosh survive with all that armor available?
Armor OP. He survives.
At the end, he does, but not too many tools actually used from Tempest. They were focusing the Immortal right after. That was enough.
Garrosh is walking back with... He took a drink from the well.
Armor OP, indeed. Barely survived there. As they also caught up in levels now. Sniper going with the Q build.
It does clearly show that MVP Miracle is much slower when it comes to the Immortals race, but that was to be expected from once the draft was finished. So far MVP Miracle should be happy with what's going on. Tempest, on the other hand, they had to be careful about the Garrosh, but a nice stun prevents any shenanigans from happening.
That was not even close, but anyhow, Hyde was on the stun already. And Lockdown has been doing lots of Qs to all the heroes there. Sign is actually body blocked out alone. He's very low, he gets healed. Seems like he will survive at the moment. Sniper cleansed, but dead. That's a dead Jaina there, as Arthas was already taken out from the other side. But if you're on the other side as Miracle, you will be dead and you get punished.
Kidnap misses, but Tempest will be free to take down this Immortal as well, and they will be able to push with it with a level 10 advantage.
Now here comes the big change, and Miracle still needs to soak so much to hit 10. Can they get to the keep wall or to even take down the entire fort when Tempest gets the next set of Immortals here?
I believe MVP Miracle should have level 10 or very close to it if they are a bit more decisive in pushing this bottom lane. They soaked up almost all of the wave now, and so they will have access to their heroics when starting to defend this Immortal.
Will it be...
No Cindergrosa, unfortunately, but
Cindergrosa.
that was to be expected.
Purifier Beam actually maybe used on Jaina all the time and have her just out of the fight entirely. And not Strafe coming out this time, as maybe they were looking for more burst damage CC.
Lockdown's Reigns of Vengeance were on point today, and there's so much crowd control on his team to chain those with, so natural decision, I would say. Jaina's still thinking about which heroic to take. A bit interesting. Personally, I would just hope for a nice Ring of Frost to land.
So that Genji can just swing all the blades and put out maximum output of damage there. Still holding on to that question mark as this Immortal is just bursting down. Dami just throwing the shurikens there. Presumably trying to look at the angle, but Tempest not falling for it yet. Here comes a dive coming out from Dami. The taunt and Ring of Frost only hits one target. Bale, it does not connect with anything, but when the Sanctification is dropped beautifully just like that, and with the Divine Shield, Tempest wants to turn this around though.
Not the worst Ancestral by any means.
Wow.
But yeah, a lot of things could have went better for MVP Miracle in that fight. Not only to mention the Ring of Frost, but the Purification Beam that was onto Jaina pretty much took out her entire health bar, almost. And, oh wow, this is a good toss though.
Lost Hyde, but no focusing coming out as Dami was away from the action. And Honkono will just dash in to pick up the kill there. Ooh. Bit of an overextension coming out from Miracle. I think they should have just hard back home, try to just trade with the bottom camp instead.
The toss itself was okay, but I guess the problem was that MVP Miracle's composition is more dependent on having their heroics to take a decisive team fight, so they probably should have thought about that before landing the Garrosh combo. In general, I haven't been impressed at all with Crazy Moving's plays on Garrosh so far in this game.
Well, we'll see. Still a long way to go before this game ends. There are lots of combo potential, especially with Taunt, Ring of Frost. If Dragon Blade lands on the perfect target, multiple targets to be. In fact, I think they can get multiple picks, and Judy can just dive in and just make sure that their teammates are on the Sanctification. Meanwhile, all that's happening, I think Miracle is on the right line here. Tempest, they actually have pretty good tools to counter that too.
I think a lot of these team fights, barring any huge mechanical misplays or any cutoffs or any pickoffs, a lot of it will depend on. Oh, but this counts.
That was a quick dash out. Continue.
Uh-oh.
Oh, never mind, as the team fight will break off, and Dami is getting very low, does not get Ancestral healed, and he is dead. No Genji means you have to back out, and it seems like H82 is chasing down targets, as Jaina has to be healed. Sign is just slowing everyone down from the back line here.
The Ancestral landed, but the Purification Beam is dealing so much damage to Jaina, took out her entire health bar.
Oh no, Sanctification was in a great position, but Jaina actually went to the other side and was not protected. And that's the end of the story, as you'll see. Tempest, when they're left alone, they still have Vala and Artanis. And they will race this Immortal down, as Miracle is just having their respawning time now.
I can't really blame Jaehyun for the first missed Ancestral because the timing on it was okay. It was just that there was so much burst damage incoming to the target. And again, this was the point I was going to make before the team fight even began. But as seen in the very first post-level 10 team fight, the Purification Beam, the pressure that it puts onto Jaina is unbelievable when we look at it right now. And when we see, like in that last team fight, if Arthas gets into E range on Jaina and Purification Beam is online, that's pretty much a dead Jaina and at least baits out an Ancestral. And you don't want Jaina to be Ancestraled when you have a Genji on your team, when you have a Garrosh and Tyrael on your team.
Of course.
So, very, very difficult for Jaina to position well right now.
And Ancestral didn't even connect to Dami, as Sniper is getting...
Again.
Oh my. And this maybe just keep, and maybe with the full half shield still left, Tempest may actually try to end this game with this Immortal going down and keep. Just went down. Maybe they are going for the core.
It definitely looks possible. Sanctification is available though.
With the Dragon Blade, the perfect target, but Vala is protected perfectly. And Divine Ancestral at the last moment, and I don't think that's going to be enough, and Judy just sacrifices himself onto the other side. This Immortal still just got the shields down and still very healthy. The core is going down now.
This should be game.
Yes, as that was the best analysis coming out from Rally. And that was game. I know that was not the most clean use of all the tools from Miracle. And
I'm so impressed by how Tempest really understood how they could win these team fights so easily. Just Purification Beam the Jaina, just get into range on Jaina to get at least a single slow off, or even better, some crowd control. Then your team's main DPS, so to speak, has nothing to do except for to use Ring of Frost, then just walk away from the beam and screaming to Rehgar that she needs healing. So.
And I think that can actually be a very good counter against maybe Kel'Thuzad if Kel'Thuzad comes along because Li Ming has teleport. But for all the other mages, if they are focused and they are out of the fight the entire time because of that one Purifier Beam, if it lands on Jaina, Kel'Thuzad, someone like Gul'dan, if they're not protected, I think that was a big thing. Partially also because Miracle only had one support. Will this be fixed if they had double support?
I think it also depends on the type of support, the exact hero you have. Because, for example, if you think if they had Karazim on that team, then his heals also give movement speed. So you can outrun the Purifier Beam unless you're locked down. So that would have made a huge difference. That would have changed the entire game. Same for Right Wing. So something to think about for MVP Miracle as we move into the break before Game 3.
They will have about 5 minutes to think about before they jump into game number 3, and we will also be back in 5 minutes. Let's take a break, and we'll be back very soon.